Now let me invite on stage our first speaker of the day, Mr. Priyavrata Mafatlal. He is the visionary founder of Get Set Learn and vice chairman of the Arvind Mafatlal Group, which is a 120 plus years old conglomerate. So 120 plus years. Besides being an entrepreneur, Priyavrata is also a successful angel investor and has added significant value to the startup ecosystem in India. So ladies and gentlemen, all the boys and girls, put your hands together. Let's welcome Priyavrata on stage. A very, very warm welcome to you, sir.
Hi, morning. No one's had breakfast today. I think the guys who have brought you here, your principals, the organizers haven't given you all breakfast this morning. Kids, I can't hear anything. Where's the energy? Louder. Louder. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Just want to see if you're awake or still asleep from a long journey. Where are you guys from? Which part of India? Just take some cities. Everyone Mumbai? That's it? Just two? Okay. I have vested interest. My family comes from there, but I associate myself with Mumbai. But anyway. So, guys, it is so exciting that this is the top 75 that we have from 15,000 kids. I mean, you guys really need to be proud of yourselves. I was just discussing, over the last few days, I've been saying the same thing, that when I was your age, none of us had the kind of platform that y'all have, that y'all can pursue these kind of entrepreneurial journeys. But more than anything, I don't think I was half as smart as you guys. Some of the ideas y'all have come up with, I don't think I even knew they existed. So, I mean, it just shows where the country is actually heading. So, I mean, this launchpad is really interesting because this is where you, as the name suggests, everyone wants to be a unicorn. That's become the most hottest word in every time we read newspapers. I don't think you guys read newspapers. Every time you open your Kindles and your iPads and your computers, everyone wants to be the next unicorn. But the important thing is, do we know what a unicorn actually is, right? I mean, when we were growing up, a unicorn was just a figment. It was a variation of a horse that didn't exist, right? The amount of times we've heard, we were joking the other day, the amount of times we've heard the name unicorn in the startup world, it just feels like a horse today. Everyone is literally becoming a unicorn from a valuation standpoint. But, we see that's the outcome that we see. We see how people have got to that famous 8,000 crore number, which is essentially a unicorn. But the journey that actually one has to go through to get there, the journey which we see only 0.2% or 0.3% of those journeys at the back of the newspapers. We don't see the efforts that it goes. And I think that's where something like FUL comes in, because from a very young age, it ties up everything in terms of how do we actually get to a stage where we could be that unicorn, we could be on the back of the page. We grow up in a country where, at least when we grew up, the only two people that would be worshipped would be cricketers and actors. I think y'all are growing up where y'all open the page and then there's the founder of Zomato and the founder of Paytm and the founder, these are amazing companies. We use these products on a daily basis, and what they have done, they've put India on a world map. We have practically we have the third largest number of unicorns in the world, as a country, and that number is only increasing. So I think FUL gives that platform at a very young age to understand what entrepreneurship is about, because we end up only concentrating on the success stories. We almost never know the sacrifices, the hard work, the effort that everyone needs to put in to get there. And we almost certainly don't know about the companies that don't make it there, right? And I think it's very important, especially at a young age, to acknowledge that success and failure are only two sides of the same coin. We, while we do everything we can to achieve that success, to achieve that unicorn status in whatever field, and unicorn is just the word I'm using right now, but however we define success, but we don't realize that the flip side to that is failure. Very few people actually talk to us about how do you succeed from failure, how do you bounce back from failure. That's as important. You will find you'll find hundreds and thousands of stories of people who've bounced back from failure, right? And bounce back again, it shows resilience, it shows the hustle, it shows the need that we need to kind of be honest, we need to be authentic, and we need to be humble about the fact that we may not make it, right? But again, we may not make it from in whose eyes? If we as entrepreneurs want to build something, we want to do something, right? We have to compare ourselves to the journey we build, not the journey society builds for us. Because then you get caught into the rat race, you get caught into the peer pressures. Right? I mean, it sounds a bit preachy, but see, from my perspective, I'm, as Anita was mentioning, I'm fifth generation in a family-run conglomerate. We started off with textiles, moved into chemicals, we moved into IT, we moved into edtech, we moved into a bunch of industries. And for me, I was groomed from a very young age to be a promoter. Normally, promoters have a different role to play. We're not very hands-on because you have professional management, you have you have CEOs and boards which are hired from outside. And the job of a promoter, being one of the largest shareholders, is that you give the vision, you give the guidance, you give the roadmap to that team, and you give them the support. So I was groomed to be that till 2018, when I was still jet lagged. I'd just come back from the US. It was Sunday evening. It was 16th of December. And I came back because we had we had a board meeting the next day. And it was 7 p.m. I was waiting to get ready to get into bed. I was so jet lagged. And then my dad walks into my room and he said, for tomorrow's board meeting, uh, the board has decided that we're going to ask, we're going to look for a change at the top. The managing director, we're going to ask him that, maybe we need fresh ideas and fresh thoughts. I said, yeah, the board mentioned to me, and you're going to be CEO. And he walks out, right? And suddenly, I had that safety net all this time. I could sit back, I could point fingers, I could blame. Suddenly, I am that person, right? It was the most nerve-wracking night I had, because the next day, I had to walk into a boardroom and I had to don the hat of a CEO of a 118-year-old company, 115-year-old company at that point, right? You can imagine the kind of the pressure that for 4 generations, no one has messed it up. I might be that guy who finally messes it up and, the company has to go under. But, I think that was the best day of my life, because that's the day I actually understood what entrepreneurship means. Obviously I saw, I didn't have platforms like this, but I had people like my father and my grandfather that I saw from very close distances that were bold. They took decisions which perhaps were risky, but they believed in themselves. They built businesses when there was no industry. My grandfather was the first one in India to start chemicals with foreign collaborations. He was the first one to start plastic manufacturing, first one to get into IT, right? The moment you're a first, it's scary, because what if you fail? It's a colossal mistake. So I'd seen this, but I never quite understood it till that day. And from then, obviously the hard work I had to put in was double, because now I can't go to I can't go to my father for everything. He's my chairman. I can't go to the board because they've hired someone thinking that I might know something. I can't go to people in my organization because they think I'm a moron if I go to them for everything, right? But I had to get myself a coach. I had to really learn that journey. And since then, that self-belief that I got, right, because someone else believed in me, the board believed in me, my chairman, my father believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And I needed that little push. When I got that first push, that's when I started believing. That's when I realized that I, I can achieve anything. It's not about the outcome, but I know I can build anything. I know I can start anything. I had that belief that I will not be the smartest in the room. And I still know this, that when I walk into a room with my team, I'm not the smartest. I'm not the most technically sound. But I know I am the most gutsiest in the room. That's the only thing I bring to the table because I know I believe in what we do. And that's what an entrepreneur is. In my case, okay, entrepreneur is also someone who's, responsible for the organization. But I think we in the last 4 years have tried to inculcate entrepreneurship at every level of the organization. Because entrepreneurial is a mindset. It's not a designation, it's not a post. It's the ability to take risks, measured risks. It's the ability to be bold. It's the ability to come up with a solution when a problem is faced. Figure out what is the best way forward. Have a critical line of thinking. These are attributes which FUL wants to inculcate in kids at a young age because the world has moved so much further than when we were younger. The kids growing up today are digital natives. They understand technology much more than we did, right? I'm not trying to make myself sound like a caveman, but the difference that we see in the last 10 years specifically and then in the last 3 years, I have young kids at home, they're 4 and 6, and from the time they're 1, they know how to like swipe up notifications. You all will think, what's the big deal? But as a 1-year-old, how like it's uncanny how smart the kids are today. And the India story is true. The next decade belongs to us. Contrary to whatever you believe, I've traveled the world, and the whole world has acknowledged the next decade is ours. So this is the best time to believe in ourselves, to equip ourselves with skills and tools which can actually ride the wave that our country presents us. We have already put ourselves on the map with now with the space, whether we land or we don't land, right? The idea is that we put in the eyes of the world, we failed last year or 2 years ago, but we found a way to come up with a new program with tweaks that we had to, and we tried again, right? That is an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is not about the results. Results are not in our hands, but it's the ability to bounce back. It's the willingness to bounce back when the odds are against you. So I think India is primed for people like for kids like y'all, and all I can say is that the world is at your feet. Just believe in yourself, right? When things are going against you, find a good mentor, find a good advisor, trust them, trust yourself, and always, always know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, right? With this, I wish you all a very, very good 2 days. And again, like a very, very large, round of applause for you all. And congratulations for making it here. All the very best.